He's back with the third episode of the series 7 Years of In-Laws, where Dr. Furman speaks on his self-examination by way of relationship struggles, as well as the dynamics of blended families. Also, reinventing his healing through heartfelt-filled stories about alienation from his in-laws and the difficulty it has manifested on his marriage. Dr. Furman will also talk about the discovery of self-denial, which is the first step within the process of grieving. So please stay tuned.
Greetings and grace be unto all of you of love, joy, peace, prosperity, and longevity from God our Father and from our Lord Jesus Christ. And welcome once again to the Good News Reporters Podcast. And yes, I am your host, Dr. Furman. And today we're going into the third episode of 7 Years of In-Laws, judging my own feelings. And today, with all my mixed emotions, I feel all kinds of ways. Joy is always the dominant, feeling expression of how I feel. But I got a lot of confusion going on, some sadness, because in this grieving stuff, that sadness, it pops up sometimes at unawares. But before we go into this thing, these 5 steps of, getting a little closer to those 5 steps of grieving, the proper way to do it, And like I said, my information, I get it from Sister Kubler Ross, some information I've been researching for years. So I just want to pass this kind of information on, talking about my own feelings for a minute. Sometimes they feel a little strange. But before we go into there, I want to get this scripture in. Listen.
The scripture reading for today's segment is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17. For it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God. And if it begins with us, what will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel? And if the righteous is scarcely saved, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner?
In the book of 1 Peter 4:17, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first began at us, what shall the end be to them that obey not the gospel of God? What shall be of them? Therefore, as I stated, I am judging my own feelings, not leaning on my own understanding. No. Not going by what someone else said, someone else's opinion, what someone else thought. None of that. I'm judging. I don't need you to judge me. I can judge myself pretty good, especially with a Bible in my hand. But I'm just going into what I like to look at as an introspective investigation of myself. Interest going in. I want to find out why I am. I want to investigate this level of denial I'm in. I know that there's something wrong going on. So I'm stuck somewhere. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I can keep on moving in life and enjoy those things that's going on. But I want to clean up everything that's in me that don't belong in there. And I'll clean up some things in my life, because spending that time in prison, there's some things that's been disconnected. But sometimes, some of those things, I'm just saying, not all of them, don't want all of them to be reconnected. But some of those things must be connected. So, just like... being stuck and grieving, if you will. Let's say that at unawares. Sometimes we're stuck in our grieving. Sometimes we don't even know we're grieving. I've been through some of that stuff, and that's why I'm sharing it. Nah, I didn't know that I was grieving so much, or operating in that concept after my brother was killed by my daddy. I didn't even know what grieving was. Just feeling some kind of things, kind of turning out the light, people were doing that time. That was like the early 80s, growing dreadlocks. No, not the style that they doing today. But like turning off the light. I didn't want to be bothered with nobody, and didn't want nobody bothering me, and I wasn't bothering nobody. I just wanted to grieve, but I didn't know I was grieving. This stuff was unresolved in me, and it got the best of me. I didn't know. I was just playing my music and doing my little devilish work in society as a menace. Yeah, yeah, menace in society. I wasn't doing things right, wasn't working, things of that nature. But I I was deep. I was going. What they say? That young lady. It was some of them students I was dealing with years ago, and the youth ministry stayed going scuba diving deep. In that denial. I have it in me, and I couldn't find out where it was at and high or deep in me. I know there's some sin that I need to. So that's what I said. I said sin in me. Yeah, I needed to get some of that. I ain't talking about nobody. I'm talking about me. Unknowingly and unresolved areas of grief, that I was dealing with. And grief calls you to do some strange things sometimes. What I mean strange, they could be like very sinful, when they're unresolved. They could be hurtful when you do some things. You can say some things. You can have a certain attitude, have a certain disposition, and things of that nature. When you don't have you have that unresolved, that hurting in you. You hurt people when you're hurting inside. So those kind of things, and that unaware, sometimes you just don't know. You're hurting people. Don't even know you're hurting yourself, hurting your surroundings, everything that's going on in a minute. But wait a minute. Before we go there, let's take a break. Because I just want to pause in my thinking for a minute. Because it says now, it's not that I was living in an unresolved state of mind. I'm still living in some unresolved states from things that I haven't had a chance to bring closure to. Because once you're arrested, a whole lot of things stop. And you don't even know that one day that past gonna catch up with you. Yeah, I say my past is catching up with me indeed. But in the midst of it, I'm still dealing with some issues of, unresolved issues of grief. Unresolved. Like not finishing the multiplication problem when we was in school when we were young, or not spelling the word completely, or just think if you don't hit that last number on that telephone call, it's unresolved. It's not going to happen. Unresolved. If you don't hit that last number, that call ain't going through. You go to the doctor, what you could do? You get some medicine. The doctor give you medicine, give you instruction. Then you come home, you put the medicine on the shelf. Unresolved. You can't bake a cake without no batter. Duh. Right? I mean, just think about it. You can't boil eggs without water. Right? Because we're going somewhere with this. Just stay with me for a minute. Just like baked beans, you can't bake no beans if you ain't got no beans to bake. So when we select to do things like me, no, I didn't run away from the grieving. I just didn't know it was there. But when we select to understand the only things we want to understand, like the selective understanding or departing from that which is wrong, if we don't know what we don't know, we should ask somebody who do know. And then we'll know also. So that's what I had to do. I had, in my state of rebellion, no matter what, because listen, I was wrong in hating these people. I'm going to tell you, I was hating some people. Hate, yeah, me. Yeah, I was doing this for a long time. Sometime at unawares, but sometime the things that came out of my mouth, It wasn't no love that came forth because I was hurting in my head, denial. I was denying that I was hurting. And no, I wasn't really denying it because I was hurting so much, and my denial was coming out because in the hate, and I was mad at these people, mad like a dog drooling at the mouth, side hurting, angry and stuff like that, accusing these people of some things. Oh yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, I can say that I was wrong. I can easily admit that I was wrong now that I know that I have been wrong. Oh, for a couple decades, a few decades, I was avoiding these people, not running from them. But how could I get to them? I thought these people hated me. I'm just telling you the truth, how I felt. These are my feelings, remember? Of decades of not being able to communicate with people, not knowing what was on their mind from the last time that me and these people talked. Man, these people, they didn't seem like they were, too happy with who I was as a person. But I hated these people. I don't know how they felt about me at the time, or, even today. I'm just finding out some things of how they, how they feel. They let me know how they feel, believe me. But these people was not hating me at all. Wait a minute. You hear me? I was hating these people because I lost something. I thought they took something from me. Yeah, my paranoia and everything, all my mental health situations come forward at that time because there's an alert going on. There's going to be a real big tilt dealing with this particular situation in the brain, in my mind, and what's going on. So sometimes, how that song go, don't push me. Ain't no close to no edge. I'm on the edge sometimes. Just like anybody else, it's normal, it's natural. But why? And this is why I want to find out why I got to be walking on there. Stay with me. We'll be right back. We're going to talk some more about this grieving. I got to get some of this stuff out of me. Come on, we'll be right back.
Woman to women. Father, when my anxious thoughts multiply within me, your consolation delights my soul. Psalm 94, verse 19. My sisters, sometimes we experience difficulties in life, often within relationships, and even within ourselves. However, for those who believe, God is faithful, and this psalm is a reminder that He comforts us when we seek Him. Our Father's sovereign presence will provide relief and most assured joy to our hearts, our mind, and our soul. Blessings. Book recommendation, As a Woman Thinketh, by James Allen.
Of course, we are back. 7 years of in-laws with me, Dr. Furman, and I'm judging my own feelings. I'm looking deeper within myself. I was talking about those people before the break. I was talking about me hating people because I'm lost up in my grieving, stuck up in my grieving. I had all kinds of thoughts, what they call them intrusive thoughts. My wife was talking about having intrusive thoughts, just traveling in my mind all the time, creating all kinds of activities that they're not real. Just creating stuff, hateful stuff, harmful stuff, things that only trouble my own mind. Negative patterns and thoughts, mixing and matching things, people. Hey, what does he do? People, be people, just not so much see them to do bad, just hating on them. Does that make sense? That don't really make sense, dude. Just to hate somebody. No, it's the reason why I'm hating. Because I'm stuck in my grieving. Because they took something from me. Or at least I'm thinking I'm taking something from me. Let me see, mix and match it. Mix and match it all up, because I really want to get into understanding how sometimes that pain of grieving can scar up all kinds of tissues in life. I'm talking about your rules and your past and your people and your communication, your association and relatives relating to people in general. And how that scar, that hurt, that pain, unknown or known, that's in you, it's going to come out mixed up and all confused sometimes, keep you from making progress. Oh, I made plenty of progress in life, but I must take a pause. Ain't no yield stop. What yield sign? Ain't no yield sign. No, I got to stop. Take a good look at this kind of stuff because this stuff is real. Listen, 7 decades, and I still got to deal with this kind of stuff. Yeah, got to get it out, got to do what's best, and maybe I can pass on some of this information to somebody else. Because, listen, the Bible says, where there is no counsel, the people may fall. But where there's a multitude of counselors, there's some good stuff. But no, I don't want all those counselors, but finding the right counselor. Stay with me for a minute. Oh, yeah, I've been through some psychiatrists and some psychologists, but I thank God. Listen, I'm celebrating. That's one of the joys, one of the real big joys today, that after all this time, the Veterans Administration, here in North Carolina, I finally got a good psychologist. Yeah, I said a psychologist. No, I didn't say psychiatrist. I say psychologist. There's a difference between the two, you see. Oh, well, no, don't put them all in the same bag, because psychiatrist, that's the one that give you pills. Some people may need them. I don't know. I'm not their doctor. Don't put that on me. But I'm just saying, but psychologist, that's the one. Hey, listen, I enjoy sitting down and having my brain examined. Somebody on the outside, they do it for the vehicle, the Blue GB, I call the Genesis that we have, Blue GB. So Blue GB, you got to get Blue GB tuned up. Every year, and then if it ear go off the tire, you got to do something about that, right? Same thing with the heart. Thank God I ain't got no heart problems, but I know I had a buddy of mine. Listen to me for a minute. I got to tell you a story. Listen, I had a buddy. He had gout problem with his foot. He would go get that checked out. He had a hand problem. Listen, he would go get that checked out. He had a heart boo-boo. He had that problem. He had a liver problem. And he would go to all those doctors. So I asked him one day, I said, yo, my man, you ever been to a head doctor? Because maybe some of that stuff ain't, maybe some of that pain not in your body. It might be in your mind. You might need a tune-up. It's nothing wrong with getting a tune-up. For years growing up and as being black, there was some kind of taboo going on that we shouldn't go into a doctor, a psychologist. Yeah, we'll go to the pastor. Feed him that chicken while you're there too. I'm just saying, there's a difference when you go to somebody who's going to take time out to examine you. You go and somebody have to go into the operating room. You don't even know who operating on you at that time. But at least a psychologist, you get to see their credentials. You get to see what they have studied, even maybe for themselves. But becoming a better human being, understanding some things that's going on with the mind. So yes, I do. I'm going to keep on getting my brain examined, just like I do anything else. So the Veterans Administration, I had to say all that, has blessed me with finally a real good psychologist here in North Carolina. It's hard to find good psychologists, but if and when you get one that can examine your brain and help you to understand how to use your brain better, because listen, my brain don't work right all the time. Sometimes I can't tie my shoe. Tamika, my wife, she brought me some slip-ons because sometimes I just don't know how to tie my shoe because my brain don't work right all the time. Just like your vehicle, right? No matter what, the brain is what it is. So, yeah, I go get it tuned up. And I'm so thankful that I do have a psychologist because some of the things that I have to deal with right now, and this stage of life, I'm just telling you the truth. I feel like I'm being stalked. Some of the hate that's coming forward. Listen, I might be getting some of the hate that I gave out years ago. And I tell you, I got some hate uh, from identifying some things that people don't want to come to grips with. And I'm laughing because, there's what they call them, goons or trolls or people like that on a situation, and don't people want to control you? Don't do that to me. We supposed to be nice. Listen, but um, when it come down to hating, so with me having that feeling that came up here and there, I had to find out, why am I going through this? So yeah, I celebrate having a psychologist to help me to think, help me to be a better person, help me to have a better attitude, help me to have a better outlook on life. And no, I don't know this person at all, but thanks be to God, I can feel the Spirit of God in this young lady, his sister, who is doing, helping me to take a look at me, from the outside, and examining. They tested me for PTSD and they found out some things about me, some very unique things. And that's when it came down to finding out what a genius really is. No, that ain't really common. I'm just saying, one time I was speaking like that without it. I was lacking in my knowledge, was doing some research and that came up. But no, it's not a common thing. I found out some things about me and, man, one of my grandsons, good God Almighty, Eni, whoo, glory. I was going town to finally meet Eni. And this is where my denial is that my children, or my child, Nani, Sequan, the one that I left behind at 2 years old. And no matter when I came home, she couldn't receive me. And we, for these last 35 years, been doing our best. Well, maybe not all the time, but we had some scrapping fights and, both of us in denial about our hurt and our pain of how we lost one another. Oh, we'll get to talk about it more. We're gonna have a conversation, a real good conversation about this before the people, because hopefully others can understand what it is in a deep sense of how grieving can really hurt people. So now, and just devastate the lives of people. This grief is some deep stuff. So now these 35 years of her and I, and these last couple years of her and I, we just still rumbling so much like one another, like a female June bug. Yeah, from when I was on the street, and we continued to clash with some of the harshest words one towards another, our hurt just slinging one towards another. But I thank God for my daughter's bravery, and I hope she thanked me, because we were able to stay this time and withhold the lashes that came forth out of our mouths, so nasty and vicious towards one another, because we'd lost each other way back then, and the hurt was so devastating. But behind Nani, there's a story. And I could not get to the story because I couldn't get to Nanik. Behind Nanik, this is my unknown, unresolved issue of there's a family behind Nanik. I denied that family. I thought that family hated me from when I got locked up. I thought they didn't like me. But let me tell you the story. See, back then, I had a brother, younger half-brother. I had a half-brother who was like 14 years my junior. So when he would go meet a young lady, he would, also meet their mother. And you know how you women are sometimes. Hey, no, I'm just saying some women, don't come at me. Do you have a brother? Hmm. And my brother would let him know, yeah, I got a big brother. And I would do the same for him. When I met a young lady, I would say, hey, and they would say, do you, yeah, I got a younger brother. And we met women that way. That was one way. I'm just saying, pay me no mind. But nevertheless, so my brother told me about this woman, you know. So I went to meet her, and one of the, well, she was the aunt to one of the women that he met. So I went to meet her, Afrocentric, black, humble, soft spoken, and through it all, never shouted, never raised a voice. Oh, yeah, I got those kind of looks and harsh, sarcastic remarks, but never shouted. So, but that's doing the whole thing. But nevertheless, when I met her, I told her where I was at in life. Pretty much just got finished hanging up my guitar. Don't know what to do with life. But I was hurting because I had lost another family. Previous. That's a whole nother situation. But nevertheless, she understood my hurt and she understood my pain. But I didn't know that she was grieving. Because, like I said, I didn't know that I was grieving about my brother. I didn't know she was grieving the loss of her husband. I didn't know that the children were grieving. Her 3 children were grieving because of the loss of their father. I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that it was someone that we came on a solid mutual understanding of love, of what we believe. And it was to the agreement to have a daughter, have Nanique, have a baby. Well, she heard my heart. Like I said, I had lost my children. She heard my, and I probably fit into a situation with stepfather, whatever the case is. So I'm there, not even knowing that I'm in this position, but that's where I'm at. And oh, these brilliant 2 little boys, about 9 and 10, and the girl about 7 or something like that, 5 or whatever the case is. But these little young men, they were brilliant, but they were angry. They were angry. And yeah, I got a lot of that anger, but I didn't know. I didn't understand grieving at the time. I didn't know. I thought they was just angry that I was there with their mom, some young men. But the little girl, she was angry too. And yeah, the normal words was, you're not my father. You're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do. But, I did what I could. But nevertheless, there was times we had, me and them too, they went to Girard College, very intelligent young men. And they had some very intelligent conversations with me. And not that I challenged them, I think they were challenging me intellectually. And one of them broke down. I thought this concept came out of me years ago about um, um, generational wealth versus generational entrepreneurship. And Jamel, he was the oldest. He was about 10, 11. I'm not certain. These guys were brilliant. But I thought him and Bai Kim, that's the other one. I didn't get a chance to see Bai Kim since I've been home, but I didn't know it. And after talking with my daughter, Nanique, and she tell me that I thought these young men did not like me. And I hated them because I thought they took away my daughter from me. And I talked about them and I really ridiculed and I didn't mean no harm. I'm just saying. I thought they took my baby from me. I didn't lose my daughter. I didn't know. When my daughter finally let me in her heart again after 35 years, I found out that I didn't lose my daughter. Some young men, they protected my daughter. Those were my sons. I didn't know when you Well, I didn't have to be their biological daddy. Somehow that fatherhood was in there. The way they tell me they spoke about me while I was away in prison and how they some of the things they learned from me. I don't know. I don't remember. How can I was a drunk and a drug addict. Music, some things about life. I don't know. Some of the things that came back later on. But I didn't know. I didn't lose my daughter. All that grieving. We were separated. Yeah, it was a loss. But I really gained two sons and another daughter, Zaire. Zaire, by Kim, and Jamel. One of them is about 40. The oldest one is about 47 and 45. And Zaire, I don't know. I don't know the ages. They're not my biological children. But being able to be there, just that little bit of time made a difference to them. And I'm just learning this. This was back what year? This is back in the 80s, late 80s, 90, prior to prison. Let's say prior to prison, 1990. And my daughter's born in 87. So just that little bit of time. But I was hating. But no, I was wrong. I was wrong to do those kind of things, to say those kind of things, don't have those kind of feelings. But I was stuck in a grieving that it was there, but it really is just that Nanik and I we couldn't come together. So behind that is a second family. I'm not in denial about it. I'm not refusing to say that, hey, look, I forgot to touch bases. No, I couldn't get through Nanik. But to accept that fact today, they shared. There's some more things that patching up, amending. What is it? Out of some things. One day I'll get. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to sit down and talk to you. As like I said, I didn't lose my daughter. I gained two sons and another daughter. Now, don't get me wrong. I raised different children at different times, not the whole. I ain't never raised the whole child from the beginning. But how many hands? I mean, babysitting jobs. How many nieces and nephews? Yeah, there's a few. There's a few that was in prison. They ain't one mine either out of prison. In the halfway house, don't make no difference in the drug house. They're just children of God, and if God's allowed me to step in and give some wisdom from that perspective, then if it worked, it worked. But I didn't know what was working until, I'm looking forward to, I'm reunited with Nanik after 35 years. Yeah, got to do some traveling to Pennsylvania. No, not Philadelphia. Going up to Pennsylvania somewhere and meet with my daughter and my grandchildren for the first time. Getting a chance to hug my daughter for real and my grandbabies that just two of them this round. I know there's more coming because there's more to life that I have been denying. I just been living my life, moving and grooving like James Brown said, just doing it, Hey, I can count it all. So those are the things that God has been allowing me to do. Just keep on going because, like I said, being shoved to the side and, being ostracized and kicked to the curb at the prison and no one wants to be bothered and things of that nature. Yeah, I can understand all those things and it makes a whole lot of sense to me. But I'm just saying today, what I'm dealing with is this level of denial. There's some people that I must hopefully get a chance to talk to. I can't look by these realities of what I've gained, because when I look at that, I remember years ago how they say, well, when people get married, right? Say, well, I'm going to lose my daughter. No, you're going to gain a son. Well, I'm going to lose my... No, you're going to gain. But sometimes we live in that non-reality and not even taking on the thought of reality that we're not losing because someone gets married. Look at it. flip it on the other side like you do your camera when you take a selfie. And that's what I mean. Look at the other side. You don't lose something. And unawares, you think you lost because your sister got married or your brother got married or your mom and your daughter or my uncle. Yeah. Oh, they're going away to enjoy themselves in life. That's the purpose of getting married. That's the whole thing. It's not to get married to live inside a whole kind of village and all that thing. God said he separate. They go, two of them should be off together with themselves. But you don't lose, you gain. You gain in this society. You don't lose. Look at the value of the person just because you don't like something about the person, something that they said, their disposition. You gain. And I'm thankful today that I know that not only did I gain my daughter, Nanique, back in the midst of my grieving, which, I didn't really lose her. It was a long temporary separation. That's all it was. But in reality, I didn't lose her. I gained my daughter, Zaire. I gained my son, by Kim. And I gained my son, Jamel. Now, how they feel about me today, I don't know. But I know I'm dealing with my reality because today I have my daughter back. I didn't know, like I said, though, and I'm going to repeat this. They watched over my daughter. They protected. That was their baby sister. They adored their baby sister. So they took very good care of her. And I should be thankful for that. But no, I wasn't looking at it from that perspective in the beginning. Not for a long time. Not until I got my baby. Where I can have a wonderful conversation. I was blaming them for everything. That's part of grieving. That's part of grieving is, blaming. But we're talking about denial right now. So I denied that truth that whole time. I denied that situation. I denied that family. Ever since I've been home for the last, how long I've been home? Last 25 years or whatever the case is. I denied that family. Didn't want to deal with that. All I wanted to do was trying to find a way that I can get the Nanique. I ain't want to talk to them other children that God says or that I have or I made somewhere else. I don't want to talk to them. The only child that I asked in this life that I wanted, that I requested, I sat down with her mother was Nanique Saquon Felder. The only one. The other children, how they came? Listen, they came. The only one that I asked for. And it seemed like I had lost her and I felt some kind of way about it. Now, like I said, I don't believe I took this out on anybody, but I challenged those people. I came at those people. I came at my very own family. And this is by law. What you think about that? The law of God. So when we talk about 7 years of in-laws, I'm not just talking about my present day in-laws. It's not just one kind of law when it comes to relating with people. So, to conclude the situation that we're talking about, that I'm judging my feelings of what and how I felt. If it's name by name, like my wife say, one by one, face by face. I know one thing. I seek the forgiveness of God, and I do seek their forgiveness as well. And as I continue to go along, this is just one area of denial, but I lay this down in hopes you understand, I denied a whole lot of things when it came down to Nanique and anybody that was in her circle, anybody that was in her family, her brothers, her sister, her mother, her godmom. I finally had a chance to talk to Shay Shay, and that was wonderful also because Shay Shay washed her back too. I'm just saying, this has been a long time, and I am so grateful. I'm thankful for all the prayers of anybody who have ever thought or ever considered to give a thought about my daughter not being separated for all that time and now today. If you prayed and God heard you, well, I thank you for your prayers that you joined in with me. Because now I'm going to see my baby. What is this? We in April? Next month, a few days from now, I get to see my baby and my grandbabies. Hey, so next time we're going to come back, we're going to talk about that second step in grieving. That second step, you go from the D, the denial, we're going to go to the A. Now, we might get stuck there for a minute. Yeah, that's that anger stuff. Anger. Number 2. See you next time. Come on back. We got some more for you. God bless you.
As I look around this world, I see so much hatred and disharmony. The Bible tells us of these last days and times sinners run